Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Taurus energy. And we're going to kind of read it from a couple different perspectives of how different people could be harnessing their Taurus energy. Taurus has to do, well, just besides being a Taurus sun sign and a human being, Taurus energy is earth sign energy, and all of us in our Taurus energy could get a little more caught up in the world and our ego and our image and these things of the world that we want to manifest, and we want friendships, relationships, and jobs, and sometimes we're tempted to stay in them even if it doesn't quite seem like we're on the same page or just or fair. And then we struggle within ourselves about what is our truth, and we come into contact with all these different people to try to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't, and are we willing to stand up for and take action on our truth. So people are going to take action based on their Taurus philosophy of life, of what they think is just and fair. People who are making decisions more out of fear, insecurity, or pride, or ego, or lust, or greed, or status, or image, probably are going to try to hide that truth because they don't want people to be illuminated to the truth of why they do what they do. And high vibe people have worked through the ego of all of it, and they're willing to speak their truth and illuminate the truth. So then, other people have to decide what their truth is. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which isn't showing itself. And again, we come in contact with all these different people in the world, and we don't really know maybe what drives and motivates them. The last card that's showing under the deck is the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. And it kind of has to do with our dreams. Are we more about the world, ourself? Are we kind of more deceptive and manipulative? Do we get caught up in our head? Or do we listen to our intuition and listen to our intuition? And I think our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world. Taurus energy can talk about people who present themselves as being this stable, grounded, mature, loving person. You should work for them. You should get in a relationship with them. You should marry them. But some of them aren't being truthful. They're being deceptive and manipulative. They're trying to hide the truth of why they want you to be in a relationship with them. And other people in the world aren't being deceptive and manipulative. They are listening to their intuition. They are communicating their truth. They are listening to their intuition about the people in their life to see, are you someone more caught up in yourself or your fear or your ego? Or are you someone who listens to your intuition, is more just and fair, has hope and faith and belief in your dreams, has hope and faith and belief in love? And everybody's trying to figure out, like, who's who. And so right now, with some people in our life, we're trying to figure out, who's more on the same page as us. If we're more about ego and image and defensiveness and don't want to do love, we're trying to figure out if the people we're in a relationship with are more like that. If we are more about truth and love, we're trying to figure out if some of the people in the world are on that page. What is this card? The King of Swords. Libra energy of what we think is just and fair. Some people don't want to be just and fair. Some people like to live more from their mind than their heart, but they don't want people to know that, right? And other people are being truthful and honest and just and fair, and other people could have a hard time believing them because of other relationships or something that they've been in. So we start out with the Five of Cups, the Ace, the Knight of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. The Five of Cups can talk about that we've all had relationships in our life that didn't work out the way we wanted, right? We can still, there could be a part of us that wants to communicate with those people, or could still be attracted to those people, still kind of stuck and hung up on those people. But I think we've probably, with some of those people, we've been in relationship with them, and it didn't work out the way we wanted, right? And some people have moved on with new relationships, and they were kind of hiding the truth that they could still be kind of stuck on someone, right? But high vibe people do the work within themselves to listen to their intuition. If I did work with some people in my past and things didn't work out the way I wanted, I have to deal with the truth of it. Why didn't that relationship work out? Was I kind of immature, is what the Knight of Wands can talk about? Was I more still caught up in the world and I wasn't ready? In the Five of Cups, the person is kind of focused on the Three of Cups instead of looking to the future and aligning with hope and faith and belief and love. You know, had I not worked through some of my past pain and heartbreak, was I still kind of immature? Did I have some growing up to do? Was I not listening to my intuition? Were some of the people I was in relationship with, were they in that energy? What about some of the people that are in my life right now? Am I sad because some of the people that are currently in my life are being kind of immature, more motivated by the world, don't want to bring justice to the situation, are being deceptive and manipulative? Am I hiding from the truth and staying stuck because I kind of don't want to see the truth? Let's go look at these two cards. The Chariot and the Seven of Pentacles. So, I can love people, is what the Queen of Cups can talk about. I can love people. There's been all sorts of people in my life, right? Between friends and family and when we were kids and all this stuff, we all had people in our life who didn't work together with us in a way that we thought was just and fair. The King of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. They could have been more immature. They maybe weren't very loving. They could have been superficial and shallow. They could have been more caught up in the world or themselves. You know, am I going to keep... The moon can talk about kind of being in your fear about moving forward in life because you've dealt with other people in your life. And you also could have been one of those types of people at some point in time. We all have growing up and healing and maturing to do. Well, the whole thing is, again, are we willing to deal with the truth? High Vibe Sagittarius is about learning lessons in life, wrapping your brain around this game of life. If I don't want these things to keep manipulating me, if I deal with the truth that maybe I had fear, insecurity, was immature, more caught up in the world, maybe wasn't very balanced within myself, could have been a more codependent energy, wasn't looking at life from a higher perspective. Am I willing to see the truth of that? The only person I can change is me. And if I keep getting it myself in situations where I feel stuck, is what the Hangman can talk about. It could be that I chase after other people and I get in relationships with people who are kind of in that same energy too, right? And I can try to get other people to see the truth. I could repeat a pattern where I get in relationships with people because maybe I am a loving person and I see other people, oh, look, that person is sad. Look, that person's kind of immature. Look, this person isn't choosing love. They're kind of deceiving and manipulating themselves, have things that deceive and manipulate them, even if it is their more worldly nature or things of the world that they go indulge in to make themselves feel better. I'm caught up in the illusion that maybe I can change people. I can enlighten people to the truth. That it's about love. But at the same time, I'm kind of deceiving myself Because of the fact that if I am a loving person, could still repeat a pattern where I kind of indulge people in their poor behavior because I don't kind of want to see the truth that I might be a loving person, but I reject moving forward with people, and the Seven of Pentacles is Taurus energy. I kind of reject moving forward with people who also have a philosophy of life of being a loving person, because I have this pattern and we'll all repeat old patterns over and over until we kind of see through the illusion of it, of why we do it. And a person can be a loving person, but they really haven't learned to love themselves. And if they were to get in relationships with people who treat them the way they treat people, well, no, not me. No. People aren't supposed to love me. No, I love other people. I try to get other people to change. Why? Because if we were to be in relationships with people who were treated us the way we treated them, being just and fair, treating us the way we treat them, well then I have to work through my own fears and insecurities and my past pain and heartbreak and my self-limiting beliefs, and I might not want to deal with those things, and I don't even realize that's why I do what I do. That's kind of the moon. The moon can talk about these things kind of buried in our subconscious that we haven't been enlightened to yet, that kind of drive and motivate why we do what we do in the world. So sometimes we've been in relationships with people who did treat us the way we treated them, and they treated us that way, and it would have been a just and fair relationship, but we rejected it because we had our own unresolved issues. And they, in turn, kind of could have rejected us, Sometimes we meet people and we'd be a good match for them and they'd be a good match for us, but we all have our issues from the past and we all have things kind of buried in our subconscious, and we all, I didn't realize it, until I started doing tarot, because I don't think we would have ever thought of it this way, that, you can be a loving, nurturing person, but why don't we get in relationships with people who are more loving and nurturing? And it can kind of be an ego thing in a way, is what the hangman can talk about. Or because I have this pattern, this is the way I view life. And Taurus has to do with our philosophy of life. Isn't this what you're supposed to do? Isn't it about offering love and encouragement to other people because you're a loving person and you try to get them illuminated to the truth, to see the truth, and then they'll become a loving person? Well, we could be deceiving ourselves, because if we're already naturally kind of a loving, giving, nurturing person, but then we go get in relationships with people who aren't in that energy, they have their own philosophy of life. They are the way they are because of the way they view life. Why are we trying to change people? Why aren't we willing to deal with the truth? Even God gives people free will to live their life the way they want to live it. They'll just have the consequences of repercussions of their life choices. But we can reject that truth because, I don't know, maybe we've kind of misinterpreted what it means to be a loving, encouraging person. And we're all young and we can be attracted to people and we want to be in a relationship with them. And we're kind of caught up in the illusion that one day they'll view life the way we view life and they'll change. But the whole thing is, trying to change someone, that's a choice they have to make, and they are the way they are for their own reasons and their own past and their maturity level or immature level or their fears or their defensiveness, and based on their way of viewing life. And it's very hard to change people and make people look at life differently. If you're a loving, nurturing person, for someone to try to make you be maybe a more bossy or controlling or petty or envious or whatever type of person, it's really hard to change your philosophy of life because that's not your truth. And it's really hard for you to change their way of viewing life. Trying to make a more immature person be a more mature person, they have to go on their own journey of trying to see where that doesn't get them what they want. And that can take years and decades of learning those lessons, right? And some people just are defensive to love. I get hurt doing love. I don't want to do love. And there's some people in the world that are more aligned. They made the free will choice to be maybe more focused on issues from the past pain and heartbreak, defensive to love. And they're looking for people who are willing to keep indulging them in their poor behavior. It works for them. Hey, you're not willing to stand up for what you believe in. You're kind of willing to deceive yourself, not deal with the truth. You're willing to keep indulging me in my stubborn or prideful or defensive or unloving or unjust ways of being. Hey, that seems to be like a dream come true. I get to be kind of shadowy, and you're going to keep being loving to me and encouraging. Hey, I think that I have, got this game of life figured out. Well, people can repeat that pattern for a long time, and they keep, the loving people keep being sad that the people they keep getting in a relationship with keep being immature. And eventually we need to figure out, this doesn't work out the way I want. When am I going to deal with the truth about why do I get in relationships with people like that? What kind of drives and motivates me to try to change other people? If people show me they have unresolved issues from their past, they're immature, they're more materialistic, they're not just and fair, they're defensive, they're prideful, or they're egotistical, they're more caught up in themselves or looking like a shining star in the world than love. Why am I not moving forward with people who have the same philosophy of life as I do, of being more motivated and invested and inspired by love? And we'll all keep repeating those patterns until we're sad. And it's like, I could keep chasing after people, or I could try to wrap my brain around this game of life, and I could be inspired to free myself from repeating this pattern and going round and round. And I'm going to listen to my intuition, and I want justice. The Knight of Swords is sent by the King and the Queen of Swords. The Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy, also represented by the Queen of Swords. And this is the King of Swords. I feel stuck. These things that I keep doing, and this pattern that I have, and this way of viewing life or living life, isn't working out the way I want. I want to be illuminated to the truth. I want to figure out why I do what I do. And maybe until I figure out why I do what I do, I'm maybe not going to move forward in a relationship. The ones I'm in, or the ones I've been in, or currently in, and I'm going to take this time to offer love to myself, to work through my own regrets of the past, offer love to my own more immature nature that kind of is tempted to want to go indulge in these things of the world to make myself feel better, or just go get in another relationship to make myself feel better. But I've already kind of done that, and that didn't work. So instead, I say free yourself with the Three of Pentacles, because the Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. All these things that kind of manipulate us. What is it in my own foundation that manipulates me? And it can be my fear, my insecurity, loving myself, believing in my dreams, standing up for myself. Well, what's that gotten me? It hasn't gotten me what I wanted. So then the hangman can talk about we feel stuck because it's kind of like the universe hanging us up because it wants us to look at life from a different perspective. And the hangman and the moon are Pisces energy, which is emotional water sign energy about our dreams and do we love ourselves? We can be a loving person, but don't really love ourselves. That could kind of be the truth. That I view myself as a loving person, but I kind of don't love me, but I can be loving to other people. But I reject people who could be just and fair, that I could have a dream come into reality because I really haven't learned to love myself. Well, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work through some of my regrets of the past. And then the hangman talks about being enlightened to the truth and seeing things from a different perspective. Aquarius energy talks about looking at life from a higher perspective, putting things in perspective. I'm dealing with all these other human beings that have their own issues and their own past pain, heartbreak, regrets, defensiveness, immature nature, worldly nature, fears, insecurities, ego, their ideas of what they think is just and fair. The whole thing is, I want to move forward with people who kind of have the same philosophy of life as I do in my Taurus energy, who've learned some of the same lessons I've learned. If I'm a loving person, I want to be in a relationship with other loving people. But I have to quit indulging people in their poor behavior in myself and in others. I need to quit repeating certain patterns if I don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. If one of my patterns is I try to get other people to change, I'm done trying to change other people. I see the truth that they are where they're at. They make their choices. They have their philosophy of life. Some of the people I could have been in relationship with, I wasn't wanting to see the truth that in the chariot is Cancer energy, the Seven of Pentacles Taurus, that some people harness a more shadowy, worldly Cancer energy, where it's kind of to use your emotions kind of manipulatively, maybe use your sexuality manipulatively, use your resources of the world manipulatively, using other people's fear and insecurity or tempt people in their lust or their greed or their codependency to be in relationship with you. And they're really not operating from an emotionally balanced place themselves. They really maybe haven't learned to love themselves to be more emotionally balanced. And we all were where we were at. And some of them were more prideful, some of them were more egotistical, some of them were more caught up in themselves or the world, some of them were repeating this pattern, indulging people in their poor behavior, indulging poor behavior in themselves, repeating past patterns. I don't want to do that. I no longer want to move forward with people who don't have the same philosophy of life as I do. And in order for me not to do that, it's one thing to get to know people and then to listen to my intuition, where before my intuition could have told me, Pisces energy, can talk about that. My intuition was telling me, trying to tell me the truth, trying to enlighten me to the truth. I am not going to get justice here. These people are not on the same page. But, we have free will and we think we're so smart. Oh no, I can change them, God. No. I'm not going to listen to my intuition. I'm going to go try to get them to change and get them to look at life differently. Why? Why try to get people to look at life differently? Why not be illuminated to the truth that they do look at life differently? You kind of might turn your back on love. You might have issues from your past you haven't worked through. Well, if you haven't worked through those things and you don't want to do love, well, then I can't be in a loving relationship with you. If you're still kind of immature or more caught up in the world or yourself, my dream can't come into reality with you. So why don't I start listening to my intuition, do this work within myself to work through my own past pain and heartbreak, quit indulging poor behavior in myself and others, put in work and effort to work through my fears and insecurities to stand up for myself and what I believe in. Look at life differently. When we look at life differently of what we believe is possible, and we start offering love and encouragement to ourselves to get more balance, we can be a loving person, but we're tipped out of balance where, we get in these more mismatched, imbalanced relationships or codependent relationships where we're giving, 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 and someone else is like, hey, that's great. I will take and take and take. And it's like, I don't want that. I want a shadowy Taurus relationship is where it is more kind of transactional. Well, I have this and you have that. Um, in a way, this kind of works for us, so let's stay in the relationship. But it's not about equal give and take, and it isn't balanced in these things that are emotionally fulfilling and creative and inspired and are more worldly nature. It could be I have more of the loving creative nature, you have maybe more of the stability or the security or things, and it's a more transactional. But I want a more high vibrational Taurus relationship where people really are walking the talk and they are who they say they are and motivated and inspired from a foundation of love. Not to move forward in a relationship where one person is loving, one person's more worldly, and what drives and motivates them is more these things of the world or the ego or the image or themself. And the other person's trying to build a foundation more on love, but you're building a foundation from two different truths. Your truth is different. But we didn't want to see the truth. We wanted to hide from the truth. And part of it was going on this journey of, because Sagittarius is about going on these journeys in life to learn these lessons. And then we get illuminated to the truth that, oh, our truth is different. And a house divided can't stand, What drives and motivates them and why they want you to stay in the relationship and why they got in the relationship and why they get in relationships isn't maybe from love. It's their love of the world and operating maybe more from their ego or their defensiveness or not having loved themselves or being more immature. And they don't want to do love. And we need to eventually see the truth of it. I need to love myself where I am willing to let other people love me, believe I deserve to be treated in a just and fair manner. And when I do that work within myself to get in the driver's seat of my own life, and with these cards not showing themselves, it means that other people didn't know you were doing that work within yourself. And as you're doing that work within yourself, staying in an energy of love versus your self-protective, self-defensive nature is what the King of Swords can be sometimes. You're doing this work to maintain balance within yourself, to not take action out of shadowy energy, to keep having like hope and faith and belief in your dreams, staying in an energy of love. But I am not going, if I have already spoken and communicated my truth in love, then for those people, they have to make their own decision. And some of those people are like, nope, that's not my truth. Thanks for sharing. I might not tell you that's not my truth. I might have created the illusion that was my truth. But by their actions and what they choose to go do, you kind of see that that isn't their truth. And it's like, well, I'm standing in my truth, and if I've already spoken my truth in love, then I'm done trying to kind of balance things out with you, and I'm not going to keep chasing after people and maybe not even communicating with people who kind of turn their back on listening to their intuition and speaking their truth and illuminating me to the truth. and that aren't moving forward with me, investing in this dream, I have to assume you're either in relationships with people who you're doing that with. And maybe when I could have communicated with some people, I didn't realize they were in a relationship. Some of those people could be sad because some of those people really could have wanted to move forward with you in a relationship, but they either are in a new relationship and then they're having to work through this within themselves. Like, gee, am I in the right relationship? Did I get in this relationship more out of pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurity, immaturity? What about the people I'm in a relationship? They got to deal with that on their own. All I can do is communicate my truth in love, and then I let those people make their own decision. And I do this work within myself to keep moving forward in an emotionally balanced way from love, to keep investing in my dreams and listening to my intuition as I move forward. And though I could be sad that some of those people are doing something else, I'm not going to stay defensive and stuck about it. And I'm going to keep moving forward. The people in my life who I've already been illuminated to the truth, that they maybe are defensive, are deceptive and manipulative, are more about ego and image and things like that, or themself, that's not my truth, and I've already cut those people out of my life, because how they harness their Libra, Cancer, and Taurus energy is different than how I harness my Libra, Taurus, and Cancer energy. My truth is different than their truth. I am motivated and inspired to want to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships from love. And if they have shown me they are not, then I'm not going to keep deceiving myself and being an illusion. They have shown me the truth. And I need to kind of get out of my ego and accept the truth that people view life the way they view it, want to live their life the way they want to live it. And if I want my dreams to come into reality, I need to stay focused on my truth. And I think the energy of love and believing in our dreams is supporting us and encouraging us to be in that energy. And as we move forward in life, we are communicating with different people in workplaces, in our community, in our friendships. We're listening to our intuition. We are communicating to people what our dreams are. We're communicating our truth to people. And then the people that we're in relationship with currently, they have to work through their own issues of, are they more about themselves or trying to manipulate people or being bossy and controlling? Are they more motivated and inspired to have hope and faith and belief in themselves, in others, in love? Are they willing to detach from things of the past and work through those issues, to look at life differently, to still have hope and faith and belief in their dreams? And as we're moving forward, listening to our intuition, there will be different people who will communicate with us. Just like our own shadowy energy tries to make us defensive and keep us stuck, because our own shadowy energy kind of wants to be in the driver's seat of our life, there's other shadowy people in the world who want to be in a relationship with us, and they want us to stay stuck and in this more shadowy energy and be in relationship and friendships with them. And then there's other people in the world who aren't trying to confuse us about the truth, aren't trying to manipulate us, aren't acting in immature ways, who are illuminating us to the truth, that they had their own healing and growing and life experiences to go through and are being authentic and loving. And then we have our free will choice of which people we're going to get in a relationship with. And some of the people who are deceptive and manipulative that we're going to meet on our way, who like to manipulate people, they had this illusion that you would be more caught up in past pain, heartbreak, immaturity in the world, that you would be willing to be in a relationship with them because that's how they view life, and people they know live their life like that. But they didn't know your truth, and they didn't know that you had learned these lessons in life and are more emotionally balanced and stable and grounded than you could have been in the past, or like some other people in the world. And those people will be angry that you're not willing to indulge them in an illusion. How about you just view me as a just and fair and stable and grounded and loving person, even when I'm not? And you're like, no, I'm not moving forward with people like that I meet in the world, because I've already been in relationships with people who are like that. I've already learned lessons from people who are like that. I don't want to move forward with people who are like that. And there's always going to be shadowy people in our environment that want us to indulge them in a relationship for their own reasons, but it's not love. And it's like, nope, I've already been in relationships with people like that. I am inspired to be free of those type of relationships. And I'm listening to my intuition about people like that. And I'm going to let you go find someone else to repeat that pattern with. And when you come to meet me and get to know me, as we get to know each other, you kind of realize I can't maybe be deceived and manipulated and tempted more in my more fearful or immature or codependent nature, and that I've been illuminated to the truth about people like you. And I can work together with you in a workplace, community, friendship, but I'm not going to be deceived and manipulated about the truth that I find you kind of immature or bossy or controlling or hurtful or unkind or full of yourself. And sometimes those people don't like that because they're used to people buying into the illusion about who they are, and they kind of are defensive to you because you listen to your intuition instead of buying into the illusion. And it's causes them mental conflict because they know that in order to keep working with you, they kind of have to temper their more deceptive or manipulative or bossy or controlling ways of being to work together with you in a relationship or a workplace, right? And for some of you, when you could have come into a situation, a workplace, or an existing kind of foundation of some sort, a friend group, or you started dating someone, some of those people are high vibe, but they had fear that maybe you weren't high vibe. And then as people get to know you, some of those people see, oh, this person is someone. They're not like some of the other people that we've had work here or been in relationship with. These are people that we can invest in and are people we're going to work with. And just like when you come into a situation as you're moving forward in your life, some of those people in that environment, other people in that environment haven't realized that some of those people are more deceptive and manipulative. And it will kind of reveal the truth about some people that are in that environment who are more defensive, who are kind of more maybe full of themselves or kind of more manipulative and deceptive. And by having someone new come into the environment, it can kind of trigger some people into acting more immature or something or defensive. And then other people are like, why are you acting like that? And it's like, I kind of thought you were kind of on the same page as us. And then it kind of illuminates who's really kind of more on the same page and who's not. And so if some people were able to hide the truth of who they were, the truth kind of ends up getting illuminated. And people just kind of see who they want to be in relationship with, who they want to keep moving forward with, who they don't want to keep moving forward with. Um, and at any given moment in our life, with people in our life, we're probably trying to decide, is our truth the same? Are we on the same page? When one person kind of gets inspired to work through some of their fears and insecurities, they are kind of a different person than they were before. And then the people that were in relationship with them might become defensive to them because you changed. Why did you do that work within yourself? Why did you work through some of your fears and your defensiveness? I didn't work through mine. And now you want to move forward in life differently, and I don't want to move forward in life differently. I want you to go back to being the person that you were. I didn't want you to change. So it's just kind of, are we willing to work through our fears and insecurities about just dealing with the truth? Who is more on the same page as us? Who isn't? There could have been people in our life that we were friends with or worked with at one point in time that, again, maybe really are people who are more on the same page as us, but we all had lessons to learn in life. Are we willing to get out of our ego and admit that I had healing and growing, maturing to do? They had healing and growing and maturing to do. And then as time goes by, we kind of find out we're on the same page. And I'm not going to move forward with some of the people I have been moving forward with because this really was the person that was more on the same page as me. I was just kind of didn't want to see the truth. I might wanted to blame them all for that relationship, but I wasn't willing to see where I was kind of immature or prideful or stubborn, you know? And for some people, that could work out. Regardless, high vibe people speak their truth in love. They're not operating from ego. They're not trying to manipulate and control people. They speak their truth and they move on. And if there's people in their life who aren't willing to move forward with them or speak their truth, then we're not on the same page. You don't view this as something that's aligned with your truth. Okay. If they're operating more from ego or shadow, I think they've got some hard lessons to learn. If they're still taking action out of defensiveness, or they still want to be more indulged, or they're repeating an old pattern, they're going to go on their journey in life to learn the lessons they were meant to learn. And we all are on our own journey. We're all learning different lessons. We all have different fears and insecurities that we need to work through. I just think if people are operating from more immature, shadowy energy, they're hiding the truth that they do operate more from their ego, and they're not telling the truth. They are kind of being deceptive and manipulative. They're trying to deceive and manipulate other people, trying to get other people to buy into the illusion of who they are. And at some point in their life, there's always going to be some people in their life who did want to be in a relationship with them. And some of those people are going to be done being in a relationship with them. You're not being just and fair. You're not being truthful and authentic. You're not being more emotionally balanced and authentic and loving in this relationship. And I hadn't wanted to see the truth because I was still defending this relationship. But eventually some high vibe people are out of love for themselves and the dreams that they want to bring into reality eventually are done. And then the shadowy people will try to confuse people about the truth about why those people moved on, don't want to tell the truth that they were kind of being immature or bossy or controlling or defensive, and they'll go try to create that illusion with someone else, and the same thing will happen again. And now the high vibe people have realized that if I make decisions more from my worldly nature, it's probably not going to work out the way I want. I have to listen to my intuition and be enlightened to the truth that I can be attracted to people, I can have love for people, but everybody from your adult children to your siblings to your parents to whoever, they have their own free will and philosophy of life that they think is just and fair, and it can be different than yours, and that's okay. You let them live their life. You can still have love for those people. Might not want to hang out with them very much or spend much time with them, but you can still be a loving, encouraging person in their life. But I'm going to spend most of my time investing in the people in the world who I think are more on the same page as me, because I don't like to be around people who I might think are more hurtful or immature or bossy or controlling or defensive or manipulative. So, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? Oh, and with these cards not showing themselves, there's people in your world who don't view life the way you view it. And they could be people who it's all about creating an illusion. Look how wonderful my life is, and look at this new adventure I went on, and look at this new job or relationship I got in. But it's not maybe really aligned with truth and love, and they could think that you're just creating an illusion because that's how they live their life, and they think you're doing the same thing. And what they don't realize is you really are more stable and balanced and aligned with truth and love. They just don't understand it because that's not how they live their life. And you really are kind of emotionally balanced in the driver's seat of your life, and being careful about who you invest your time, energy, and effort into. And those people think, oh no, you're just creating an illusion like we are. But eventually, as you keep living your more authentic life from truth and love, it kind of gets illuminated that you are someone who is more just and fair and stable and grounded and loving. And it also kind of illuminates that they're more immature or prideful or materialistic or whatever. And then they kind of get mad about that because they don't understand how you did it, because you maybe weren't saying things, but just by living your life. When you go live your life, people look at how different people are living their life. Who seems to be more just, fair, stable, grounded, mature, has hope and faith and belief in themselves, in their dreams, and in love? Who keeps repeating old patterns? Who seems to be being defensive, trying to create an illusion, maybe being immature and manipulative and self-indulgent and operating more from pride and ego? It just kind of becomes self-evident, you know? Now, is there going to be people in the world that are going to fall for the people and follow those people? Yeah, because that kind of could be their truth, and they're going to chase after those people or support those people or defend those people because that is how they view life. And other people are going to kind of stand up and defend other people in the world who live their life differently. You know, it's just the world of duality. And everybody has free will to either make their life more about not wanting to see the truth and make it more about themselves or ego or indulgence or the world and money and materialism, or they see the truth that love is what makes it all worthwhile. But some people don't want to do love because you can get hurt. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy? The Six of Cups and the Queen of Swords. And the reason that came out is because of the Two of Pentacles and karma. See, the whole thing is, the Six of Cups can be about repeating old patterns, and the Queen of Swords can be about feeling betrayed. You did that. Other people have done that, but they keep not wanting to see the truth. And you are willing to pick up your investment in repeating that old pattern and maybe working with your more defensive nature or more worldly view of life. And the karma card is kind of like the judgment card. You didn't want to keep repeating that pattern. You didn't want to make your life more about the world. You didn't want to keep juggling the truth. You looked at life from a higher perspective. You looked at life from a different perspective. And it's like, I think there's more to life than just making my life about me or these things of the world that I make important in my life. I've been illuminated to the truth. That's not my truth anymore. And the things and the people that I used to invest in and thought were victorious and successful and that I would find emotionally fulfilling, even though I could have loved some of those people and I could have loved kind of indulging in some of those things, that's just not my truth anymore. And that's not how I'm moving forward in life anymore. I have looked at life from a higher perspective. And I did this work within myself. The Six of Cups can talk about reconciling yourself with the past. All these things that kind of manipulated how the decisions that you made in your life, how you viewed life, past pain, heartbreak, people you grew up with, the way other people live their life. And it's like everybody has their truth and their idea of the dream life. And they made decisions and lived their life based on those ways of viewing life. And I view life differently. And Aquarius energy is, willing to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world, having hope and faith and belief in your dreams. And I'm no longer as caught up in the illusion of the world and ego and being in a relationship to be in a relationship, or caught up in all these things that I maybe at one time wanted to go indulge in that I thought would make me happy, but all they did was make me stuck. And I kind of saw the truth that I was kind of more caught up in the illusion. And I maybe wasn't loving myself and standing up for myself because maybe didn't even know what my truth was. But as time has went by, I have seen how other people live their life, and I have seen what other people think is just and fair and what their dreams are versus what my dreams are. And I've reconciled myself with all of that. They can live their life the way they want. They have free will, but that's not my truth. And I don't want to repeat that pattern. And I'm picking up my investment in it, and I've come to peace about it. And that some of the people I wanted to have a dream come into reality with, it's not going to come into reality with them because we view life differently. We have different ideas of what the dream life is, and they could want me to stay in it, but they maybe don't want to speak the truth. They don't want to be emotionally just and fair and emotionally balanced and loving in it. I can love people, and I can't be in a just and fair and authentic and loving relationship with them if they're not also in that energy. And I'm calling judgment that everybody has to be held accountable for their actions. I took accountability for myself, and they have to take accountability for themselves. And if they're not, they're not. If I spoke my truth in love and some people still are defensive to that, don't see the truth of it, then I believe that the divine has a different plan for my life. If there's people whose judgment is still clouded, God knows where they're at in their life. God knows what still manipulates them. God knows what their dream is. God knows what my dream is. And I have hope and faith and belief that the divine has a plan for my life. And that if I keep moving forward in the energy of love, I believe that God wants me to get my divine inheritance. And if I get out of my ego and trying to control things, and I kind of go with the flow, that I believe judgment will go in my favor. And I believe that if I keep moving forward in this more balanced, reconciled with the past, treating other people the way I like to be treated, shining my authentic light, there's going to be other people that have kind of went through similar experiences that are going to want to be in relationship and friendship with me because I'm not acting like that old way of being and people like they currently might know in their life. And those will be people who want to balance things out with me, or we have the same truth, and they've reconciled themselves with issues from their past and feeling betrayed. And they see I have done that also. And then these are the people I'm going to keep moving forward with because we listen to our intuition and we don't get caught up in our head and our fear and our immaturity and our defensiveness from the past. And we work together to bring a dream into reality. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? The Queen of Swords. Why? Because of the Nine of Pentacles. Well, there's some people in the world that don't like people being more independent. You are supposed to be more codependent. If I'm more in my Aquarius Nine of Pentacles energy, if I defend my more worldly nature and I make my life more about being about the world, indulging people in my life, indulging others, indulging the world, making my life to try to make people view me a certain way in the world, instead of living my more authentic life and being more independent from that, they're mad that other people don't let the things that manipulate them also manipulate those people. If there's people in your life that are unwilling to be more independent from the world, a friend group, people in their family or something, they wanted you to stay in a relationship and stay stuck with them. Keep hiding the truth that I'm more immature or I'm more manipulative or I'm more codependent or I'm more egotistical and codependent on the world to build my sense of worth and value. You keep being in that energy too, because I'm defensive to becoming independent and knowing my own worth and value. But other people did do this work to become independent of feeling betrayed, their past pain and heartbreak, and to know their worth and value, to stand up for what they believe in. I am more than what I wear. I am more than what I drive. I am more than the money I make. I'm more than what I look like. I'm more than if I'm in a relationship or not. My worth and value is more than all of those things. And I don't let the world define my worth and value. And I don't like other people manipulating me. And I don't like my own fear and insecurity and immature, prideful, lustful, greedy nature manipulating me. And I have done this work within myself to shed a layer of that and become independent of it. And I'm looking to the future, believing in my dreams. And I don't want to repeat this old pattern. And that's when those people become defensive to you and the next people they get in a relationship with. Well, you weren't supposed to do that work within yourself to be more independent. You weren't supposed to do that work within yourself to reconcile yourself with issues of the past so you could pick up your investment in it. I don't do that work. Those things still manipulate and control me, or those people still manipulate and control me, or my past pain and heartbreak, or my immature nature, or my prideful nature, or whatever. You changed. And then they get mad when other people do that work within themselves because they don't maybe ever plan to do that. And it could just be they don't believe that there's any higher truth or justice to aspire to. The world says this is what we're supposed to make our life about. This is what I'm going to make my life about. That's my truth. There is no higher truth or purpose to being on this planet. It's all about the world and ego and image and indulging ourselves and making it more about us and having a certain status or image in the world or trying to make people view us a certain way. So when we die, they put a plaque on the wall for us. You know, it's just like, you go ahead and make your life about that. And some people just wanted to be single because the Nine of Pentacles can represent that because they wanted to go be an immature player. Well, they went and did that, and other people got in loving relationships. The Six of Cups can be deep, meaningful relationships with other people who have hope and faith and belief and love, who weren't going back and forth and still wanting to be an immature player. Some people outgrew that stage of life, and other people didn't. And other people moved on. They're more emotionally mature. They're more emotionally balanced. They're more loving. They're not chasing after people. They're holding themselves and other people accountable for their actions. And they don't like that. No, you're supposed to let me be deceptive and manipulative. And you're supposed to still view me this certain way. And it's like, I don't view you that way. I see the truth of who you are. Well, then I got to go find someone else who doesn't know the truth about who I am. And I'll try to deceive and manipulate them. It's like, you knock yourself out. Have a good time. And then they're mad because some of the loving people in their life weren't willing to indulge them. And the people who are willing to be in a relationship and stay in a relationship with them could be people who do keep chasing after them, trying to change them, make them look at life differently. And the game starts again, or they get in relationships with people who are more like them, who are more defensive, who have their unresolved pain and heartbreak, but because they're single, they want to be in a relationship. So then they get in a relationship and they're both hiding from the truth that they could feel stuck. But because, some people in shadowy Taurus energy can be where it's more about creating this illusion in the world of, and they think it says something about their worth and value if they're in a relationship or not. Plus, maybe just for sexual purposes, they want to be in a relationship. Well, then they get themselves tangled up in a relationship, which they got into for the wrong reasons. But then because they created this illusion about how wonderful it was, and oh my gosh, we've had a dream come into reality, um, but that they're in relationships with people they don't even want to be in relationships with. And I do think that's funny. I've kind of seen it played out in my life. The people who thought, I don't want to have to grow up and mature myself. I don't want to have to be more just and fair. I don't want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship. That's entering the danger zone. I could get hurt. I know I want to go be a player. But because they want to indulge themselves in relationships, they get themselves in relationships hiding the truth that really they just want to indulge in it. But they're probably not telling people up front that. And even if they do, some of the people, of course, they couch it. They're not like, I just want to hang out. I don't want a formal commitment. It's kind of trying to create the illusion that they're willing to see how things go. And then they get themselves stuck in a relationship with someone who they maybe were never intending that they wanted to be in a relationship with to begin with. But, you know, I want to have sex, or I want to look like I've moved on. I want to look like I am more stable or grounded, but I'm not. The whole reason why they get in relationships is for the wrong reason. And then they either feel stuck in a relationship with someone they don't want to be in a relationship with, um, or they're in relationships with people who are in relationships with them not because of love, but maybe because they don't want to be single, or the money, or the status, or the image. And they thought they were so smart, but they keep getting themselves stuck in relationships where the other people, I'm not going to get in a relationship just to be in a relationship. I want to be free and available, that when someone who does come along who is on the same page as me, I am free to get in a relationship with them. And then the very people who wanted to go be players are mad that some of the high vibe people are single because they're not, they're focusing their attention. And, sexuality is kind of like our life force energy. We can focus that into a lot of other things: our career, our friends, our family, learning and growing and maturing ourselves, our education, you know, and they keep getting themselves locked up in things that, so isn't it ironic? And then the high vibe people kind of look like a shining star in a way, and could be single, and other people view them as someone maybe that they would want to be in a relationship with, and they're actually kind of just living their life not being in a more mismatched relationship. And either they keep trying to change people, or people keep trying to change them. And high vibe people could be working with people who work together with them cooperatively in a just and fair and balanced way. And they're either someone who tries to change people, or they think people should chase after them. And I don't know, I just think A lot of heartbreak anyway, I would think. But anyway, to each their own. I am going to stick with that Taurus reading. I've done like 3 Tauruses reading, and Taurus is challenging because Taurus does represent all these different institutions of the world. Had some tower moments in there. Tower moments happen because they're trying to get us to see the truth that what we're in, we could love people, we could want something to work out the way we want, but it's not working out the way we want. Are we going to listen to our intuition and deal with the truth? Are we going to do that work within ourselves to love ourselves, to speak our truth, and also some relationships are missed opportunities because we weren't on the same page at the same time. We've moved forward in new relationships, and if those relationships are just and fair and authentic and stable, then, some things are a missed opportunity. But there are some people that are moving forward in relationships more because they're unwilling to speak their truth. Well, then you will manifest probably feeling betrayed that you're not single or more independent to go live your own authentic life. And the people who were willing to speak their truth and get out of the being judged, I'm going to go live my authentic life because what I am in isn't aligned with my truth, or the people I'm in relationship with are defensive or unkind or unjust, or I've just changed and this was my truth at one time, it's not my truth anymore. Do I love these people? Yes, but I think our truth is different now. You're either living a life of illusion or you're willing to stand up for what you believe in and speak your truth. And there's going to be consequences one way or the other. And if you're willing to give up your dreams, you're going to end up feeling betrayed. If you see the truth that people aren't on the same page as you, it frees you to have your dreams come into reality. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.